Hi everybody. This video is going to be a little bit different. I'm really excited about something I've been playing with lately, which is called Google's NotebookLM. But to give you some context, I recently wrote an article called Strategic Value Creation Plan for Accountants, and I have a video inside the article that's actually not a public video. You can only watch the video in the article, which is actually about an hour and a half sort of deep dive that I do in terms of what I think are the ways that accountants create value for their customers. Anyway, that's not important. I will put a link in the description so you can look at it, check out the whole video, all that stuff. But I've been playing with this tool called NotebookLM. It's an experimental feature from Google. And it's an AI tool. And what I did was I grabbed this article. So I basically selected this whole thing here. So I selected everything here. I went in and I pasted the article into NotebookLM. And NotebookLM has a whole bunch of things. It can build frequently asked questions. It can build study guides. It can build table of contents, briefing documents, timeline. It's super neat. Okay, here's a little summary of the article. But what really kind of blew my mind is this thing here called audio overview. So after you post the article or whatever content, and you can even chat with it, add more content. You can kind of go back and forth. When you're done, you can click here where it says audio overview, and you have it literally create like a podcast summary. It doesn't read the article. It actually creates a podcast summary. So when you click on play,
I feel like you're drowning in financial
it's like a conversation.
Like
okay, it's like a live conversation. So I'm just gonna hit pause here. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to just like sort of get off here of the screen here, and I'm going to have you just listen to the whole thing. And then after the whole thing is done, I'll come back and add some additional color commentary. Now, one thing I do want to add is as you listen to the sort of the podcast itself, AI talks about things that I say, but I want to keep in mind that in this article, I give attributions to every single person that I heard that quote or that I learned that from. And when I was listening to it, they almost always gave me credit for that, but I want to make sure to just go back and kind of send you back to the article that I actually give credit to every single person that I learned this stuff from. This article is actually sort of a compendium of everything that I learned in the last 15 years of running a practice, built into one concise article of where I get my inspiration from, how I run my firm, how I think about helping other accountants run their firms, etc. So I thought this would be a perfect thing to just have AI without any edits, just kind of like create a virtual podcast of this article. So anyway, I know this is kind of meta and kind of weird and wonky and not my usual content, but I hope you find this useful. Let's get started.
Ever feel like you're drowning in financial information? Like spreadsheets and balance sheets are going to pull you under.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there. But today, we're throwing you a lifeline with this deep dive. We're exploring Hector Garcia's Strategic Value Creation Plan for Accountants.
Should be interesting.
It really is. And look, you're here because you get it. Accounting matters. Whether you are an accountant yourself or you're a business owner who relies on them, you know it's important. But let's be real, accountants haven't always had the best reputation, right?
True.
Often seen as a necessary evil, just another cost of doing business. But what if we could change that perception?
I like where this is going.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because Garcia is flipping the script. He argues that accountants have this incredible opportunity, a real chance, to become trusted advisors who don't just crunch numbers, but actually create value for their clients.
It's kind of like what's happened in other industries, right?
Totally.
Like, think about marketing. It used to be just about placing ads, but now it's all about really understanding your audience, telling a story, creating an experience. Garcia sees accounting going through a similar kind of evolution.
Such a good comparison.
Sure.
So how do we get started on that evolution? Where does this transformation begin?
Well, Garcia starts by addressing the elephant in the room. You know, that whole accountants as a cost center thing. He challenges that by saying, and I love this quote, "There are no solutions, there are only trade-offs."
Interesting.
Right. What he's saying is that clients are always weighing the value they're getting against how much it's costing them.
Makes sense. Clients are looking for that return on their investment. So how do accountants tip the scales in favor of value? How do they make it crystal clear that they're worth every penny?
Garcia has identified 9 key pillars of value creation, and that's what we're going to unpack today. These pillars are essentially a roadmap for accountants to redefine their client relationships and really highlight the value they bring to the table.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack these pillars and see how they can completely transform the accountant-client relationship. So first impressions matter, right?
Absolutely. And that's where Garcia's first pillar comes in. Positioning and availability. It's all about shaping how clients perceive you right from the start.
Like putting your best foot forward.
Exactly. Garcia uses this great analogy. A flower is a weed with an advertising budget.
Okay, I like that. What he's saying is,
It's all about perception. Your brand promise, your specialty, even how easy you are to reach it, all adds up to the value clients see before you even do any work.
so it's not just about being good at what you do, but also about making sure people know you're good at it.
Exactly. And part of that is being upfront about your pricing, which brings us to Garcia's second pillar. Pricing and understanding. Let's be honest, talking about money can be awkward.
You're telling me nobody likes getting that invoice and wondering, how do they even come up with this number?
Right. So Garcia suggests shifting away from just dictating fees to having what he calls value conversations. It's about really getting to know the client, understanding their needs and pain points, and then presenting your pricing in terms of the value you bring, not just the hours you clock in.
So moving away from that traditional hourly billing model, but how do you actually put a price tag on value, especially in something as complex as accounting?
It's a good question, and Garcia uses the example of a doctor's visit. You wouldn't expect a doctor to charge you just for 15 minutes of their time, right? They diagnose your problem, which has value, and then they suggest a treatment plan based on their expertise.
So you're saying accountants should be compensated for their knowledge and experience, not just their time.
Exactly. And to clarify, Garcia calls this paid discovery, getting paid for that initial diagnostic phase where you really dig deep and understand the problem.
Like the diagnosis itself is valuable because it sets the stage for the solution.
Exactly. It positions the accountant as a problem solver from day one.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about demonstrating your worth from that very first interaction. So let's say a client is on board, they're ready to work with you. What's next on this value creation journey? How do you continue to prove your worth throughout the entire process?
Well, that's where we get to Garcia's third pillar, performance and results. This one's all about making sure your actions lead to real, tangible wins for your clients.
It's about putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Walking the walk.
Exactly. Garcia talks about this idea of the job to be done. It means every time you take on a client, every project, you approach it with a laser focus on what they need to achieve. So instead of just saying, hey, I spent 5 hours on your taxes, you say, I helped you avoid a potential audit and saved you thousands of dollars.
Now that's a language clients understand. Saving money and avoiding headaches.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. But it's not just about the final result, right?
You're absolutely right. Garcia also emphasizes the importance of the experience throughout the whole process. From that first meeting to the final deliverable, you want to make it a good one. He uses this thing called the smile curve to explain it.
The smile curve. Okay, now you have to explain that one.
Okay, so picture this. The client remembers that great feeling they had at the beginning when you really listened to them and understood their problem. And then they remember that relief and excitement at the end when you deliver those amazing results. Those are like the peak moments of value.
So it's about making the client feel heard and valued throughout the entire journey, not just at the finish line.
Exactly. And that level of care, that attention to detail, it builds a strong foundation for a long-term relationship.
So we've got clear positioning, transparent pricing, and a laser focus on tangible results, all while making sure the client has a positive experience. Those are 4 solid pillars to build on. But Garcia doesn't stop there. He has more, right? What happens after that invoice is paid? What comes next?
That's where we dive into the things people don't always think about. Garcia calls them membership, tail value, and transformation. He's saying that real lasting value, it goes beyond that initial project. It's about building those long-term relationships and offering ongoing support.
So you're not just a hired hand for a single project. You become their trusted advisor, someone they can rely on.
Exactly. Think of it like Amazon Prime. You're not just paying for shipping, right? You're buying into this whole ecosystem of benefits that keeps you coming back for more. Accountants can create that same kind of membership experience for their clients. Offer ongoing advice, give them access to resources, and make those transitions smooth, even if they decide to move on down the line.
It's about moving away from those one-off transactions and building lasting partnerships built on trust and mutual benefit.
Exactly. Garcia even suggests going so far as offering those money-back guarantees, no questions asked. It's a bold move, sure, but it shows ultimate confidence in what you offer.
It's like saying, I'm so confident I can solve this problem for you, I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is.
It all comes back to that mindset shift we talked about earlier. By embracing Garcia's framework, accountants can completely transform their client relationships, moving from that transactional model to a value-driven partnership.
It's truly inspiring to see how these small changes can have a ripple effect and potentially revolutionize the entire accounting profession. But with all these pillars in place, how do you actually measure the success of this strategic value creation plan? How do you know what's really working?
That's a great question. At the end of the day, success comes down to the positive impact you have on your clients' lives and businesses over the long haul. Of course, those tangible results, those financial wins are crucial, but it's also about that peace of mind you provide, the confidence you instill in their financial decisions, and the genuine partnerships you build.
It's about recognizing that your work has a real human impact that goes beyond the numbers on a spreadsheet.
Absolutely. It's about empowering your clients to achieve their goals, secure their financial futures, and ultimately live more fulfilling lives.
That is a powerful message for both accountants and business owners. So if we had to distill Garcia's entire framework into one key takeaway, what would it be?
It has to be that shift from hourly billing to value-based pricing. It's about getting paid for the value you bring to the table, not just the time you spend on a task.
And that's something that everyone listening, whether you're an accountant or a business owner, can appreciate.
Absolutely. For the accountants listening, Garcia's framework is a call to action. It's time to start implementing these principles, even if it's just one pillar at a time. Have those open and honest value conversations with your clients. Refine your messaging to highlight your unique expertise, and always keep that job to be done at the forefront of every engagement.
And for all the business owners out there, what should you be looking for in an accountant?
Yeah.
How do you know if they truly get it, if they understand this value creation mindset?
Look for someone who speaks your language. Someone who doesn't just talk about numbers, but talks about results, solutions, and partnerships. Look for an accountant who is genuinely interested in your goals and is upfront about their pricing and the value they provide.
Find that accountant who shares your vision and who you trust to be a true partner in your success, someone who gets you.
You know, Garcia leaves us with a very thought-provoking idea. He suggests replacing that traditional business plan, the one everyone's used to, with a strategic value creation plan. So instead of just focusing on hitting those revenue targets and profit margins, think about the value you want to create for your clients and how that translates to lasting, sustainable growth for your own business.
Wow, that's a real paradigm shift. As you go about your day today, we challenge you to ask yourself, what would your ideal accountant-client relationship look like? What kind of value do you expect from a trusted financial advisor? And for those of you who want to learn more about Garcia's framework, we highly recommend checking out his book and his upcoming Reframe 2024 conference. You'll find all the details in our show notes. This deep dive has given us a lot to think about. The future of accounting is exciting, and by embracing this value-driven approach, we all stand to benefit. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.
Now you will notice that towards the end, there was kind of like a sort of a volume and voice shift. It looks like they're also adding almost like a host that summarizes the whole podcast and sort of adds a call to action at the end, which I think is pretty neat as well. And the cool thing about this is that this is like the dumbest and worst it will ever be. I mean, this stuff is going to get just so much better over time. It's just going to be mind-blowing. And kind of the reason why I'm doing a video about this is because I have a conference coming up in October. It's a conference in Hollywood, Florida. It's called Influential Conversations for Accountants. And the pre-conference is all about ChatGPT and AI tools, especially within the context of how to use AI to communicate better. And as I'm researching and playing with these tools, I'm definitely going to do a deep dive on this NotebookLM and kind of what I'm discovering at the conference, because this, to me, is like sort of the next level. But, you know, is this better than having your own podcast? No, I think, you know, your customers will like listening to your voice. I mean, this is an AI voice. It's very robotic. Most people, will know it's an AI voice. And I'm sure after doing like the third or fourth episode of this, people will stop listening. They'll just get annoyed at listening to these people, these AI fake voices. But what I wanted to do is kind of like play with NotebookLM a little bit. Again, to encourage you to play with it. I'll put a link in the description. Right here, there's something here called Help Me Create. Again, this is from the same article. I'll put links to the article. It would be contextual for you to read the article first and maybe even watch the hour-and-a-half video that accompanies the article because it just add all tons of context. So then when you're kind of seeing what NotebookLM does, it just starts kicking in. And I'm encouraging you to take your own content, whether it's a transcript to your own video, transcript to your own podcast, an article you wrote, a PowerPoint presentation. It's really cool. You can add multiple sources. You can upload documents from Google Drive. Of course, it's a Google product. You can add a link to a website. You can paste some text. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to link to my website that's all about my conference. Okay, and this should be pretty cool. So I'm going to add the link to the website about the conference, and I'm gonna add it as a sort of additional piece of context. So it actually comes in, reads the website, and then kind of summarizes the information from both things: the original article and also the website. And then what you can do is you can use some of these tools. So for example, you have frequently asked questions. So I'll go in there and help you build questions and answers to both pieces of context, right? So like the article that I pasted in there, and then maybe stuff about the conference. So it looks like here, this is all the conference stuff. So right here, here's my frequently asked questions. And then I would grab this information, maybe copy and paste this into the website. So it's kind of like some of the things that you can do with that, okay? And there's all sorts of things you can do. You can create a study guide, and it'll create like a little card for each one. So again, this stuff is just incredible what you can do with it. And again, this is kind of boring to watch me wait until this summarizes the stuff that I'm putting in there. I'm just recommending that you kind of like copy and paste your own content and play with it. This is incredible. It's like one of the AI tools that I'm like really excited about. So here's a summary. So actually, this is more like a combination of things. So we have what's the central theme of Reframe 2024. So obviously that's about the conference. But then here it says, what are the 9 elements of strategic value creation outlined by Hector Garcia? So you notice that it sort of adds context from both pieces of content. And again, I can go out there and add more sources, add more information, and then you can start experimenting with just grabbing multiple pieces of information and summarizing stuff.